In this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the Rickenbacker 4003 bass. Hi guys, I'm Tyler and you're watching the TJS Bass channel. This is the All You Need to Know Bass show here on my channel, where I run you through everything you need to know about a single piece of gear. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if this video turns out to be really helpful to you, hit that like button and help me spread this video around the YouTube sphere. This video is again in collaboration with Langley Guitar Centre here in the UK. This bass is from their current stock, and you can find this bass online. I will leave a link to this bass in the description, as well as a link to their website. Go and check them out. They've always got loads of really cool stock in, and it's worth paying a visit if you're in the UK. So keep it in mind, find that link in the description below and check them out. So in my hands I have one of the absolute legends of the bass guitar world, a classic design that's been played by a ton of players, but with the particular kind of McCartney, later Beatles stuff, and Chris Squire from Yes making this his signature bass guitar. But it's a bass that I think perhaps can do more than people online would say, and it's a more versatile design than it should be for what is a very simple passive design. In this video I'm going to show you all the specs, so check out the bass, all the hardware, all the features. Then I'm going to show you how it sounds on its own, and then finally going to show you a range of techniques, so some pick style, some finger style and some slap style, all back to back, and show you what this bass can do in a wide variety of settings. So hopefully there's something in here for everyone, no matter your style or your genre. So first off, let's just check out the specs of the bass itself. As you can see, it's an absolutely classic, gorgeous design, a beautiful finish. This is the Fire Glow finish. It also comes in Midnight Blue, Jet Glow, which is a black, and then a natural colour. And you can also get a walnut version, which I think looks pretty cool too. But the walnut one has a maple fretboard instead of the rosewood. So we'll start off with the woods. So first off, it's all made of maple. Rickenbackers are renowned for their sound. They have a distinct growl to the sound, but also quite a lot of bass available. And the maple construction certainly helps with that. So as I say, it's got a maple neck, a maple body, and the neck is neck through, so it goes all the way through the body. And then on the, in terms of fretboard, we have a rosewood fretboard, which is finished and covered. So you don't really feel the grain of the rosewood like you do on most guitars. It's quite a nice smooth finish, much like you get with maple guitars, where you have a maple fingerboard. Looking elsewhere around the body, you have shallow tuners, so some really good tuners. You've got a plastic nut. You have binding all around the outside of the fretboard, which is a really nice touch and really adds a touch of class to the instrument as a whole. You've got binding all around the body as well. The pickups are Rickenbacker's classic design, which have just 4 big screws as their pole pieces, which I think is really cool. And then you've got the same pickup underneath this cover here as well. Coming down to the bridge, you've got something that I didn't know actually until I actually picked this bass up, is that there is a mute system built in here, so you can roll these back and bring up a mute underneath the bridge. The bridge piece is here to change your intonation, and then they go into the back of this really solid silver plate. Really cool looking bridge, really heavy work, industrial piece of gear. You then have a pickup selector switch, so forward is to choose this pickup, center is both pickups, rear is this pickup here. And then to the tone control system, which I think is really interesting and more in depth, and has a wider range of tones than I ever thought you could possibly get, because I've only ever heard the Rickenbacker, that classic pop rock tone, bands like Oasis, Snow Patrol, those kind of things. When I was growing up, they would often play Rickenbackers, but they would leave all the tone up as bright as possible and play with a pick, which brought that classic signature sound out of it, that kind of Chris Squire sound. But there's more to it than meets the eye. Slightly backwards in layout to my mind, because I'm used to Fenders, but the control scope are labelled as bass here, so that's this pickup here, the neck pickup volume, and then the neck pickup tone. Then the same here, treble, which is the back pickup volume, and then treble tone. But then in addition to this being a traditional tone control, so you can roll it all the way off for those kind of darker sounds, you can also pull this back treble pickup tone control up, which bypasses the capacitor for it, so it makes it even brighter. So that's kind of part of that classic Rick sound. The final feature on this bass is the Ricco Sound jack socket. That's an option where you can split the pickup output. So if you plug a second jack into this output here, you can take that out to another amplifier, or say you're running something like a Helix, you could run one side of it, one pickup, which is this Ricco Sound pickup is the rear pickup, into that channel, and then another pickup into another channel on a Helix, and have two different amplifiers and run kind of like a Billy Sheehan type sound. I'd say on the whole this bass feels like a really, really nice quality bass. It's made in America, as the sticker here says. It's definitely worth the asking price. It's definitely a quality bass. And the only thing I would say that's a bit strange is that they've used some kind of covering across the fretboard to give it that smooth feel, and just behind the frets on a couple of them there's just these tiny little air pockets that I hadn't actually noticed until I sat down right now to really look at it in detail and make sure I was really honest with you guys about this bass, but you don't really notice it unless you look really hard, and I think it's worth it for the trade-off for the nice smooth feel on the fretboard. The triangle mother of pearl inlays are done really nicely as well. And yeah, overall there's no little funny bits, particularly when binding's involved. Sometimes you get funny marks around different areas where it's not quite been done properly or smoothly done or cut off with really straight lines, but on this instrument it's really well done. Fret ends are all really nice. Yeah, really high quality instrument, definitely worth the premium prices that Rickenbacker asks for their instruments. I always like to talk about the neck profile of basses when I review them, and the neck profile on this is quite an interesting one. It's kind of the reverse of a Fender neck profile, in that it's a little bit thicker. I'd say it's more like a D shape than a C shape in the hand, and particularly down at the bottom of the neck it's quite a lot thicker, and then as you come further up the neck it thins out, whereas on a Fender bass quite often the end of the neck near the nut will be a little bit slimmer, and then as you come up the bass it thickens out. So it gives it its own feel, which I think is quite interesting and makes you play slightly differently. I find it's an interesting little thing to have, and something that makes things feel a little bit alien at first, but you quickly get used to it. Other things to note about this bass are that it's a 33-inch scale length, so from the nut to the bridge is 33¼ inches, so it's a little bit shorter than a traditional Fender long scale bass, but it's also longer than most other scales. Quite often you get 32-inch and 30-inch being a short scale, so it's an interesting scale length to choose, and makes it a slight bit easier than a 34-inch, but not to the extent that you'd notice particularly. So now let's take a look at the sounds that this instrument can produce. I've plugged it straight into the standard jack input because I think that's what. So let's take a look at the sounds that this bass produces. I've plugged it straight into the standard output because I feel like that's what a large number of people will be using and how they'd run this bass. So yeah, what I'm going to do is just run you through the different pickups, roll the tone on and off, and then show you the difference between the push and pull tone part as well, and I'm going to show you what the mute does and how that affects the tone as well. So this is the bass on both pickups with everything up full, tone on full. This is just the rear pickup with the tone up on full. Front pickup with the tone on full. Front pickup with the tone rolled off. Rear pickup with the tone rolled off. both pickups with the tone rod off. This is both pickups with the tone rod off and the mute engaged. Front pickup with the mute engaged. Rear pickup with the mute engaged. So I'm going to show you the rear pickup with the tone pushed in and then out as well. So this is with it in. So now you've seen what this bass sounds like on its own. I'm going to put it back to back, play some pick style, some finger style and some slap style, and show you exactly what it sounds like in the context of a mix. hopefully you now have a good idea of what the Rickenbacker 4003 sounds like. I'm just going to give you my views on this bass. I think it's a really interesting bass, and particularly for such an old design, I think it has a really cool wider range of tones. I love the fact that it's all passive and that you get all those tones in a passive way. You don't have to fiddle with an active EQ. And I think it makes it more interesting. I think active EQs can be quite predictable. I quite like the fact that with tone controls you get a bit of interaction, organic interaction with the load of the pickup and what the tone controls do. I think from the demo you can hear that there's a pretty cool range of sounds to be had. I think there's a really interesting blend to be had when you use the two volumes together and change the levels of those between each other. Obviously I can't go into full extensive detail of that in this video because it would last forever. But yeah, there's a lot of fun little tweaks on the tone you can do with volumes, and then the how you set each tone with each pickup, and the amount that those are blended. I think if you play a lot of slap style, this bass probably isn't necessarily for you. I was finding in the tone demo that the fact that the pickup is so close to the bottom of the neck makes it really difficult to get under for pops. If you're really accurate with it, it's okay and you can do it. But I think if you're on a gig regularly slapping loads of funky slapping stuff, I don't really think this is probably going to be the bass for you. But as I say, it can be done. But just being able to tap that last fret and get the pop in on the inner strings anyway, particularly on that D string, is a little bit difficult for my liking. However, if you're going to be playing a lot of rocky pop stuff, I think this is a great bass. And to be honest, I think it's just a great bass to have in your arsenal as a different range of sounds. As I say, I like this mute thing. I really like the fact that it's got a mute. It brings a whole new character to the bass. I like the fact that the pickups aren't in the same place as they would be on something like a jazz bass, so you're getting a little bit of a different tone in that way. You don't really get a pickup in the precision bass position. This bridge pickup here is a little bit further back, kind of like the first few chords of a Music Man, further back than a precision, and a little bit further forward than you'd get on a jazz bass. And then this front pickup here is a lot closer to the end of the neck, so you get a real meaty low end from that, and I really like that. Overall, I think it's a great bass to add to your arsenal, or to use as your main player if you want to have a unique tone and a unique look that other people don't have much anymore. I think it's a really cool bass and a really cool choice to add. Let me know what your thoughts are on this bass in the comments below. Let me know what your favourite setting was from the tone demo, and let me know whether the Rick has surprised you. It definitely surprised me with the range of tones and the options it has that most people don't really go into or talk about. So let me know what you think of that in the comments below too. Don't forget to check out the Guitar Centre Langley. I will leave you a link to this bass in the description, as well as a link to their website. Check them out, and if you're local, drop by and say hello. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I release a video like this every single week, if not more. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you around soon.